All right, ecological interactions. Just like the issue of spatial scale, I expect that these are going to be some familiar concepts, and what I want to do is go through them quickly with an emphasis on where we are most, this particular things that we're most interested in as forest ecologists. First and foremost, competition. Probably the most consequential and important ecological interaction that we talk about in forests. This is the interaction between individuals, between groups of species and populations, and it is a contest for resources. In forests, they tend to be limited by three main limitations, three main resources, and those are water, light, and nutrients, that soil resource. Competition is a major theme of this class, and we will come back to it repeatedly. Predation. Yes, this is a picture of my cat, and he killed a number of mice, confirmed kills. Anyway, predation. You kind of know what it is. You got a predator, and it's going to eat another individual. It's going to kill it. Here's a better example of predation for our purposes. This is a spider, a very efficient predator. This is a tropical spider. This one was photographed in Costa Rica. Big, relatively big invertebrate. Predation, like I mentioned, results in something dying. Predation does not happen to trees, but it does happen to animals, and it happens to animals that might attack trees. Predation is of interest to us, but really only in the indirect sense. We're far more interested in herbivory. Now, this is another action where animals attack trees and damage them, can cause mortality, but do not cause mortality by definition. And that is important. What we've got here is a photograph from the El Chorro region in Spain. This is south of Spain. It's pretty dry, similar to California. Shrubs and low-statured forests, and you've got a big herd of goats that are moving through here. Of course, this is grazing, but the effect on the plants is analogous to a lot of other kinds of herbivory that we might talk about. So this is animals using plants as a carbon resource, acquiring their carbon there, potentially causing damage to the plants, damage to trees and shrubs, woody plants, but not necessarily killing them. You may be also familiar with the actions of detritivores. These are organisms that attack or they use resources which are already dead. This is a photograph of a herd of deer that was killed, I think, by avalanche in the Shepherd's Pass region of the Sierra Nevada. I've never seen anything like this. So many dead deer in one area, but this is a col that's known to slide. What's happened here is these deer have been killed at a very high elevation, above tree line. That has introduced a lot of really high resource material, lots of high protein material into an area that has very poor soil generation. And the actions of detritivores here have helped to input relatively large amounts of nutrients. So the detritivores are cleaning up the garbage, so to speak, and then also providing some renewal or generation of soil resources in this area. Now, you're probably aware of the occurrence of parasitism in forest trees. Forest trees, all plants, all living things can be parasitized. They can be attacked by parasitic or pathogenic microorganisms, and they can suffer, their health can suffer very consequentially because of those. Now, forest trees tend to be attacked by fungi primarily. Fungi of many different kinds parasitize trees, slowly removing resources from them. And in this case, the parasite benefits from acquiring carbon, and then the tree is suffering from damage and loss of carbon and so forth. Now, along with parasitism, mutualism is one of the most common and consequential kinds of interactions in forest environments. Both mutualism and parasitism in forest trees is often mediated or driven or caused by microbes. And again, with the mutualists, it's oftentimes fungi that are the most common of these. So one of the most, probably the mutualism that you're most familiar with is that of mycorrhizal fungi. And here you have Amanita muscaria that's growing out of the litter in a Pinus radiata stand in New Zealand. And if you weren't aware, Pinus radiata is the most important timber species in the Southern Hemisphere. So that's New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, and Chile and Argentina. It grows, despite being a very narrow range endemic in the Northern Hemisphere, it grows extremely well in the Southern Hemisphere. It grows really straight, grows really fast. It's an important part of the timber industry, and it absolutely would not happen without these microbial mutualists. They are absolutely essential for the growth of these trees and their establishment in the landscape.